fund, it was bond payments. I think they were older bonds. I don't think they were for the new one yet.
Thank you. Next we have the attendance enrollment information.
Yeah, so the enrollment, we've had a lot of fluctuations here the first week of school as usual. Right now we're at about 920 students. So we're looking to see if we can get that up, contacting homeschool kids as much as we can. We've had quite a few come back, so that's good. Attendance is 99.95 right now, so if we keep that up, Jennifer's not gonna be the only one with an award. That's about it. This October, we're gonna be audited by KDE for our attendance audit. That happens once every 3 years, and we dodged the bullet the last 2 years, but it's our turn, so we're really focusing on getting that ready and making sure we're able to satisfy them.
We can food service audit too this year.
I have one quick question. You said the average was 920 for students,
No, that's the enrollment numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how many we have in our district right now, 920.
It does not include the ones who are still in process?
No, only the ones that are enrolled. Yeah.
So that's 12 down from last month, right?
It's down maybe 10, I think.
I think 932.
Yeah.
Did we, do you know why there's 12 left?
Mhm. A lot of them went to the county schools. We haven't had anybody new turn in a letter of intent to homeschool. So they're going to the county schools, or they've moved completely into a different district.
We got no homeschool, I remember last month.
You just talked about transfers, correct? We had a few transfers from different school systems.
Yeah.
Roughly, do you know how many more are intent on, like, trying to file paperwork to get in? Like, roughly?
Oh,
You know?
Nobody's given me, the only indication I ever get that somebody's gonna transfer is when they send a request in from another school.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you consider a 5-year average
For,
attendance number?
pre-COVID, it was over 1,000. Since then, it's been trending between, right around 950 would be our average.
So we're down about 30 from what our average is.
Yeah, since COVID, for sure.
When we started, right before we started COVID, and I was in that position, we were at 1087. So we've consistently lost some, but I would say 950 is probably accurate for about the last 6-7 years.
What would we attribute that to? Got any idea?
I know that I had several parents that reached out to me, as they were exiting middle school, wanting to transfer for some different opportunities that the county was providing. I think our high school's done a good job to try to bring in more, courses and opportunities and, career options for these students this year. She can get into that a little bit more about how they've switched their flex to more elective opportunities for the high school. I think that will help, and then we also always battle the athletics of some resources and things. Some of these athletic teams want to play on bigger teams or bigger schools. That I can say, I see that from 8th grade to 9th grade a lot. It's, what other opportunities can I have, course-wise in a bigger school, bigger district, and what athletics, opportunities I might have.
These 12 are mostly high schools.
Well, I'm talking about transitioning from 8 to, like, 8th grade.
I'm sorry. Like, what are the high schools?
I would hesitate to rattle off any numbers of schools of who's lost kids, without looking at the numbers. And as far as what to attribute it to, again, I'd hesitate to say why I think that is without looking at the data and talking with people. I don't think that would be a good idea to
that might be a better timeframe to
Okay.
really dig into the data.
Can you give us that?
Yeah, I'll look at numbers, before our next board meeting and be able to tell you like where we're losing kids. And, I'll reach out to some of those parents and see if, it's gonna really come down to who's willing to talk about it. And then I can give you whatever I get from that.
I have one question. What's your goal for to improve attendance this year? Like, do you wanna promote, like, how are you promoting, Berea to other counties that wanna move into, the independent district?
You mean like advertising for other people to come here?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can see the sign, really I'm focusing on increasing attendance rates right now. I think being able to put our story out there with the different, schools putting out what they've got going on is the best way to show other people what we got going on at Berea.
But I think we offer 90% or 95% of the county offers. I don't know hardly of anything that the county offers that we don't offer.
We probably need to ask the parents. Probably need to ask a lot of parents why their kids are going to the county. Why, I think everyone wants to know.
That's true. As a parent, I've seen a lot of kids come and go for Berea due to sports and other venues. Some things like one curricular pathway wasn't available, or ROTC. Like you said, because we're independent district, our hands are over limited to what we have at Grassmar. Speaking of what we can do to spark more interest. That's all.
I mean, I think it comes down to providing a great academic opportunity, and I think every one of our schools is progressing that way, and to provide a good athletic program. I think, you know, those are the big rocks that we've gotta focus on, our athletics and our academics. Once those things get settled, our reputation is not the way it used to be, where we had the best and the brightest of the county 20 years ago. But that's where we need to get back to, if we wanna have people to come to our district. And the only way to do that is to improve our academic opportunities and our athletic opportunities.
Well, the athletic opportunities are there. I mean, I have a granddaughter that's on the girls' basketball team, or the middle school basketball team. And there's very few kids that went out for that, you know. You can pretty well just walk home and be able to play, you know, so. That's what I don't understand, you know.
Well, I think a lot of people are looking at, facilities and competitiveness. When I talk to parents who have left for academic, or for athletic reasons, they're looking at facilities and competitiveness.
I kind of think that no matter how much money we spend on athletics, that we won't be able to compete with schools that have populations as big as Southern and Central.
I agree with that. I know that. But, you know, it all boils down to whether you get to start or not. And I'd much rather come to a smaller school and be able to start than to go to the county and have to fight through 20 people to get a starting spot. So, no, I don't think athletics is the problem. Maybe something else, I don't know what we need to do, but we need to, you know, maybe need to look at some other avenues of what the kids today are looking at, so. And I'm out there asking, if I had an answer for you, I tell you.
Met with Berea College president again today, and we were doing some more brainstorming. And one thing we were talking about was getting back to, it's gonna be a process, but to where our kids can attend again the college, and maybe that will help in some aspects too, and maybe some different things that we can do with the college.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
with some partnerships, maybe with some sharing of stats. We were brainstorming a lot, and we're gonna meet again in a couple of weeks. So I'll keep you informed of that as things progress, but it's very positive, and it'll be great for our kids. And that could also be a game changer as well.
ViewSonic up here. Synchronize up here. Sounds good. This is on. Yeah, well, every year, you know, I come out here in August and we talk some very basic cybersecurity updates for the district. Talk about data breach, and what our procedures are in the event of a data breach. And then just a couple other things I like to throw in there that, we do, you know, proactively in our district to keep us safe. I will say that if you do have any questions, that are about our internal processes, that we can talk about those in a more private forum, because it could be used against us in a public forum like this, because it's gonna be out there. All right, let's get started. So, what is a data breach? So pretty much from KRS 61.931 to 61.94, here's the two definitions that we pulled. The unauthorized acquisition, distribution, disclosure, destruction, manipulation, or release of unencrypted or unredacted records or data that compromises, blah, blah, blah. I always see Teresa's so good at reading these legal definitions. She does it every day, but I struggle so much. That compromises, or the agency or the non-affiliated third party reasonably believes may compromise the security, confidentiality, or integrity of personal information and result in the likelihood of harm to one or more individuals. And then the secondary definition, the unauthorized acquisition, distribution, disclosure, destruction, manipulation, or release of unencrypted records or data containing personal information along with the confidential process or key to unencrypt the records or data that compromises the agency or non-affiliated third party reasonably believes may compromise the security, confidentiality, or integrity of personal information and result in the likelihood of harm of one or more individuals. So it's someone accessing stuff that they shouldn't be accessing, and then that stuff being available to parties that should not have access to that. Okay? So our action plan is pretty straightforward. A lot of it is mainly handled by state. What our job is here is pretty much we contact any and all vendors involved in any sort of data breach that was reported to us or that we discover. We use the Google Workspace platform for students and staff. So contacting Google to put in those safeguards, I mean, it's something that is already ongoing 24/7. They do a really good job with their spam filtering. We see that every day. Contacting KDE and their data breach notification line within 72 hours of the discovery of the event. That is crucial because the more we get in contact with our state resources, the better we can get a grasp on what's going on and what we can do to, at least at that time, to mitigate the data breach. And then obviously, if instructed by KDE, we file a police report regarding the data breach and the extent of the information accessed. And then we wait for the investigation to be completed and notify all the individuals impacted by the data breach within 35 days of the suspected or confirmed breach. So, I mean, I know that with data breaches, it is a sad world. There's not a lot we can do to like get back at the bad actors. It's kind of like a response plan. You know, this happened, yeah, it's bad. This is what we have to do. We follow these steps, and next time, what can we do? That's when you start reviewing, what can you do to prevent that in the future from happening or make it harder? Because, tell you what, no one is safe from a data breach. It can happen to anybody, no matter how secure your systems are. It's just how secure your systems are. It's harder for those individuals to gain access. Some of the prevention and detection stuff that we do here on campus, we have spam and phishing notifications that are sent automatically to our Google admins within the district. So if we notice that a user, for example, this very morning, we had a student whose account was infiltrated by a bot that was based out of Germany. And then that bot proceeded to, well, it happened over the weekend. We just, this morning, it's when that spam filter picked it up because it's when that bot activated. Within the matter of minutes, that bot sent out 3,000 emails. Thankfully, none of them internally, but they were outwardly to other email addresses that had been phished, containing pornographic materials. So that is something that does happen, and even to us here. And from time to time, it's something that, it's the reality of things, there is bad actors out there and they are doing this. Luckily, our spam filter kicked in, we got the notification, we were able to go in there and clear out the whole inbox, find the domain that the ad, that account was forwarding all that mail to, and added it to our block senders and receivers list here on campus. So if that same actor were to act on our campus again through another account, it would prevent that from happening, and that's part of the whole thing. Luckily though, with student accounts, they don't really have access to any PI data, the only thing they have on there is a first name and a last name, that's as much as they get, which is, anyone can pull that from pretty much our report site, so, let's move on here. Oh, yeah, smishing, this is real big this year. It's happened a couple times, actually, a very close friend, Mr. Trussell was sharing with me that it happened to one of his close friends who is currently, I think, is he overseas right now? He's in Guam, yeah, and he works for the district. So smishing is a combined attack that comes through a text message combined with an email. So what people will do is a robot will send you a text message saying, hey, I'm Dr. Hatchett. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. Can you check your email for me? I sent you an email. And then that same actor sends you an email, and both of those actions combined kind of help deceive the person a little better than if it was just a phishing email. Because it provides a little bit of credibility to that email when you get a text message, oh, Dr. Hatchett just texted me and she sent me an email. I gotta go on there and check it out, it's important. Well, that email is, go buy me $500 worth of iTunes gift cards so we can send them out. We'll never ask anyone to do that, so. But that's it's happened a couple times here, and I mean, and that's mainly due to like either I think the last time that happened majorly was from because it happened mainly to people who had been in the district for a long time. They were getting that so their phone numbers had been leaked through some old third party like healthcare thing that the state used to use like 10, 20 years ago, and that's how they got it. We also have our Lightspeed systems in place. That's our filtering systems for students. That's content filtering. That's any type of website that it gets run through that statewide filter. It's a catch-all. So if it even remotely assumes that the material is mature content, it blocks it. Now it is a machine, it's not perfect. There comes a time where it's really easy to fool a machine. So like there's people out there who build specific sites that get around these things. But that's something that it's just on discovery, you have to find, locate, and then terminate pretty much. But our web filter is not only on our student devices, also on our staff devices, and then also if you bring a personal device to campus, that's being filtered through an agent on site. So even if somebody was on a wireless, it's going to be pretty hard to locate mature content right off the bat. And that's just a safety thing, because it could be anything from like copyrighted material that's being blocked to like a dangerous malware infested site. So, all right, up next, personal devices. So on our network, we have launched this. This is the Berea Bring Your Own Device Guest Network. A lot of this staff hate me for it, but it's just another layer of security for our internal systems. What pretty much this does, it's a wireless network that doesn't have a password. I know, how does that sound secure, right? Well, let me tell you this, it's secure to us, the host. The way it works is that all our other networks, the Berea Secure and then the Chromebooks network, they have to see internal systems here at the district level. That's how the devices on that network operate. So, for example, if I'm a computer that's owned and managed by the district, let's say a teacher's device, and Daniel needs to remote into that device from his computer, there's a long chain of process where it has to be on the same network. Well, that's managed, secured, and we can control those devices remotely. But say a personal device joins the network, we never want personal devices to be able to peer into what we have in the background. So this guest network actually, it provides access to our visitors, guests, students, and on their personal phones to the internet, to the outer net, as I would say. But it does not allow their devices to scan any internal network items. So they won't be able to see any servers or anything any machines running on our network, cameras, printers, that stuff, they don't see that as long as they're on this network. And that's something we're piloting this year that we're very proud of. It has a splash page, you get there, you put in your first name, last name, and email, and you register, you accept our acceptable use policy in terms of internet, and then you get right in, you get a 30-day period, which is awesome because then you're not authenticated every time you're on campus. So. All right, and then here we go. So we do geolog our staff. So I get this a lot. Teachers, they'll go to conferences or something will happen, and then I get a bunch of phone calls. Well, how come I can't connect to the internet at this hotel? And I'm like, well, did you fill out your multi-factor authentication stuff? Because if you haven't set up your MFA, it will not let you connect pretty much to any network outside of this. It'll just lock you to, very specific things. Like you'll be able to access the outer web stuff, but anything that heads back to internal, it'll keep you out of it. So teachers have to pretty much log in using their MFA out of district if they're connected to a network that's not our home network, and that's just another layer of security because we don't want someone from the outside also to just peer in and access everything. So, and then also all our administrative accounts and platforms, they're disassociated admins. What that means is that, for example, my account, Tony's account, or Nathan's account, they're not admin accounts. We have separate admin accounts that do stuff in the background that are not part of any of the public-facing directories that no one can see, and that's just another layer because if my account were to get, compromised, well, they can't do anything on it. And that's the thing is people like me, people like Dr. Hatchett, people like Tony, their accounts are the first to try to get into because they usually are the ones that are going to have the most power, but we do that here just to keep pretty much the player separate from the game. So, and then that's about it. So just a couple of stuff. Any sort of tech-related questions that don't deal with internal processes?
Yeah, we want proxies and VPNs, I guess, right?
So with proxies and VPNs, our agent does a discovery process. So what it does is pretty much every hit it gets on anything that's related to a proxy, after a certain amount of hits, if it sees that there's a number of users that are connecting to that, it'll flag it up for review. And then on our end, we review that, and if it is a proxy, that's when we hit the terminate button and it blocks it. So, but with proxies, it's you ban one, 20 pop up. It's an endless war. And I mean, you'd be surprised at the different amount of proxies and the silly names that they have. So I think we blocked one the other day. It was called like Gator Proxy, and it was like an alligator on the screen, and you press a button and the gator chomped, and then you're free to roam the network. And the kids hate it because I have a little sister, and she talks all the time, and she doesn't know that when she talks, I take into account what she says. She's like, "Oh, we're using this new thing now." I'm like, "What's it called?" She's like, "It's this." I'm like, "Okay," So yeah, so it's great to hear them go, "Oh, no, we can't use the blue VPN. Oh no, yeah, get back to class, get back on task." So yeah, so we try our best to monitor those, but like I said, it's one of those. If one kid, the only possibility of somebody like not having that flag up for review is like someone first of all knowing that they could just one user use it, but kids talk, they love to talk, and they love to share their secrets. So when they find a proxy, they share it with 20 people, it's already getting flagged in our system. Like, oh, there's 20 users using this right now. Look at it, what is it, So,
What about ads? Say you go to NFL.com, it's like look at kids and certain ads pop up.
So, yes.
Black ads.
Our filter does block any sort of pop-up or ads that are for the kids. And that is, it'll usually put a big, like, white or grayscale, style block on it, and it'll have a little image. And what it does is, it just looks at the metadata on that page, and if it knows it's an ad, it just puts a little, like, internet icon on it, and it looks like almost like an ad blocker, but the ad is technically still there, it's just not visible to the kids. So, yeah, and that's, I know in the educational setting of today, a lot of teachers use those free resources online, and so we do a lot of filtering on our own over there. They forward us sites that they want blocked. That's a process that we follow over there. we go through, okay, so what are the chances that if we were to allow this site on our campus, you know, could I go on there and I play around with it, if I click this ad, what happens? Okay, 20 things pop up. Yeah, this is probably not the best site to use for this, you know? Is there a way you could maybe screenshot this and then put it on like a presentation instead, and they can use it that way, you know? So we definitely try to circumvent a lot of, you know, accessing anything that doesn't look right, so, yeah. But teachers, they love their free resources, so, you know, it's something we would like to work with them, so.
Does it also apply to YouTube?
So-
Videos or?
So YouTube, as far as I'm aware, is unfiltered district-wide, and that's a board decision, so that was made. And the reason being is because YouTube does not have a, very, how do I say this? Perfected filtering method. Anyone can upload a YouTube video, tag it, it's made for kids, and it's not kid content, right? And it might take YouTube, you know, 100 viewing hours for this thing to be taken down or even looked at, or maybe 1,000. You'd be surprised the stuff that you find under the kids section on YouTube, just on your personal account. So setting up our YouTube here to block anything that's for adult content, you end up actually blocking a lot of the other stuff as well that teachers use, because something that Mr. Trussell might use for a history lesson, right?
I show a clip, every year I show a clip from the movie Godfather Part 2 of a young boy arriving to Ellis Island.
Yeah.
And it's considered adult content, even though there's nothing objectionable in the clip, but it's adult content.
Yeah, and that's just because YouTube has they just don't wanna clean up their site. So the best way to go about it, I think one time we did try to, you know, said, hey, if you're, you know, we did the 18 plus ones, and I mean, we were on the minute, we were just like, okay, my kids can't access this, and it's not things that our school district is using individually, like personally. This was things like, back when we were using Summit or iExcel, these are like the learning platforms that we have here that had curriculum-based videos on YouTube that were being blocked by our filter. And with YouTube, you can't really just unblock one video, you have to unblock the whole site. That's just how content filtering works currently. It's a really difficult thing, especially when you have a site that makes tons of money that just doesn't want to clean it up, so, yeah.
What did you say, you used to take over YouTube, right?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, it'd be very fun, I'd say. So I remember early days of YouTube where you could like become a millionaire from one video that went viral. So yeah. All right. Any other questions?
We have a very interesting show.
Oh yeah, it's fun. So.
Give Daniel a hand, he is teachers what they needed to get started at the beginning of the year and get kids Chromebooks, so he worked really hard.
Yeah, class. I'll do it every year till you tell me to quit.
Another quick shout out to you, I meant to do beforehand, is to give, I don't wanna steal her thunder, but, the high school, got the SACS accreditation, and Ms. Hubble and her team worked extremely hard on that. Very hard. And then, this summer, Ms. Cole graduated from the Leadership Principal Institute. That also is a major accomplishment. She participated all year. They don't select everybody, but she was one of them that was chosen, so that's huge. And then Kelly Caldwell and Mr. Porter completed NISL, and that also was a lot of hard work and determination. So I want to give all of them and then Mr. French and his kids, give them a shout out because all those signs that you see in the yard, they did it as a team. We got Tony and Nathan doing everything they can to get ready, not only to get people on board, but also dealing with the finances, and they were juggling all these things, and they did it like, it was so smooth when the auditors came in here, but that's a true team. And not only that, you gotta give credit where credit is due. She sits up there really quietly, tries to stay away from all the attention, but Ms. Knight makes sure all the little details and all the small fine things are done. We couldn't have had opening day We couldn't have done a lot of the district PDs, you wouldn't have your shirts, you wouldn't have a lot of things without Ms. Knight, so we need to give everybody in here. Making sure people here at school, thank you for that too. Mr. Trumbull, so great start to you.
Next up is the school reports, beginning with the elementary report.
Hello, I'd like to thank the families and parents who came out. Thank you very much for coming, supporting us. We've had a great start to school on the elementary side. I'm sure the middle school and high school as well. We had a back to school night and had about 300 families represented that night. It was a wonderful night. We actually follow Leader in Me. That's something that we focus on here in our district. We had a new little piece. The kids actually filled out their very first piece for their leadership student notebooks on back to school night. We've got a couple new things that we're going to be starting. Our theme for this year was BCES, where the magic begins. In elementary school, the magic of education actually comes alive for kids as they start school. But also that building of friendships, the magic of friendships, the magic of learning social skills, but also the magic inside of each of us learning how to be leaders. So one thing we're focusing on at the elementary side is really creating leaders inside of us. And one way we're going to do that is we started treasure groups to build relationships and mentorships last year. And our students had a voice and said, we would like clubs to happen. So I met with our faculty at the end of the school year, and I talked about how can we take that mentorship, that relationship piece that we've started the treasure groups, but how can we take the voice of our elementary students who come and spoke to us about wanting clubs in our schools, giving them the excitement of learning new skills, being in different groups with different age kids, and learning from different people. So as we talk as a faculty, we've combined them together. So we are going to have 24 clubs in our elementary side, and every student's going to be able to be part of 4 clubs throughout the year. So every 9 weeks, the kids will go to a new club. One thing they did with their guardians and parents when they were here at back to school night is they actually picked their top 3 picks of the clubs that we had to offer. We can't promise them to be in all 3 clubs, but we can promise to give them a couple of them. I've also reached out. I've got a site-based parent who works at Brea College who's going to be, she's been meeting with some of the college people to actually get some different skill sets in here, groups. Ashley Hammond is wonderful from Madison County Library. She's gonna actually do a club for us, a great book club for our advanced readers. So I'm trying to bring in some people, not just in our school, but from the community. But every staff member will be a part of a club throughout the year where they're connecting to different kids and they're working together. So the kids are really excited about the clubs, and I am too. So those are some things that we're focusing on. This beginning of the school year, we really just focused a lot on our universal behavior system, building leaders inside of the kids, practicing our procedures, as well as really building those relationships. We actually created a mission statement at the end of the school year on what positive relationships look like to us as a school. And our mission statement is we build relationships that focus on mutual trust and respect and operate with empathy where each person feels valued. We as a faculty have decided upon some non-negotiables that we're gonna do to build relationships with students. One of those things is our homeroom teachers actually stand at their door and they greet every child by name. So they're learning different handshakes. Some of them get to pick what they do with their teacher. But that way, every child is acknowledged the first 15 minutes that they are there. Another thing that we are doing is we're talking about positive behavior reinforcement and how to do restoration when you speak to a child when a child is maybe having behavior issues or maybe has done something that is inappropriate. So we've talked about the I and we and how we work that out in restoration. Another piece that we're doing is every teacher is focusing on making sure they say at least 3 positive affirmation or encouraging words to every student in their classroom every day. These kind of things really matter. I remember being a teacher and sitting at the end of the day and thinking of all the 125 kids that I had. Did I speak to every one of them? Did every one of them feel like someone cared about them when they came to my classroom? So these are things we're really gonna focus on this year just to make sure, you know, the kids that are quiet and work real hard, sometimes they're really missed. So I wanna make sure that we're all acknowledging all the kids, and it gives them just an encouragement to work, not just for them, but for them to learn how to be a leader to other people. So we're excited about this year. There's a lot of energy in the air over at the elementary side. The teachers went all out decorating, and I'm just really excited to see what this year's gonna bring. Do you have any questions?
Yes. With the group, with the clubs, how does it work within the schedule? Is it within school time, is it after or before?
Well, we wanted to make it for all students to be able to attend. Many kids don't have transportation.
Right.
So we decided to, look at our schedule. So the last, every other week, about every other Friday, they'll have a group that they go to. So it's gonna be like a 30-minute block. They'll have that 4 weeks in a row, or 4 lessons, and then they'll actually switch the next semester.
Okay.
So we're gonna make sure that every kid gets opportunity, but it is something that I feel like stepping back, I've gotta take a little bit of our schedule of our time to build stronger relationships and help kids have greater skills and realize that there's greatness inside of them that they can do other things too. And as a faculty, we felt like that was really important. Our academics have really been growing since last year, so I'm not afraid to sort of step back and sort of focus on some things that kids would really enjoy too, to inspire them.
Sounds real excited about it. So on that side.
Sounds great. That's the way we
Well, let's hope
raise
it
our
works.
numbers.
We're gonna try to decipher all the kids and separate them this week, so I'll let you know if I need help.
I just wanna comment on how magical the elementary circle was by having two kids doing professional development and when the speaker was here. It was amazing.
They worked really hard. I have a wonderful faculty.
Thank you. Order?
So, you know, going into my third year here as a middle school principal, I guess I filled in some of that 1 year, so it's gonna be 3.5 at the end of this one. One of the things I stepped back and I realized is that our staff is really, a very well knit staff, like we have a very close staff, and, we had one teacher turnover last year. So we filled that space, and we think that we've really knocked it out of the park. Her name's Miss Collier. She's teaching middle school language arts for us this year. But one of the things I was reflecting on here a couple of days ago before school started is that when this year is over, our group, you know, including our guidance counselor, Miss Lewis, we will have had these kids, all 3 grade levels, all together. So, and what I noticed in the first couple of days is, you know, we run a pretty tight ship, or I feel like our group does, and our 7th and 8th graders were awesome. Like, they knew what to expect, they knew how we worked, they knew the expectations. They were mentoring the 6th graders, and the group that she brought, they need a lot of work. Like, that's a very immature group that's gonna take some time, but we can get there with them. But by like the end of the day, so many of those 6th graders were coming up, and you know, like, I don't know, I guess you just see, as you phase out classes and you have that expectations, like, it's just like, we don't have any issues with phones, we don't have any issues really with like Chromebooks. We decided we weren't gonna have Chromebooks in the lunch this year with our middle school, because we had several ruined last year. Nobody questions it, everybody, this is just what the expectations are. So like, to me, you know, like, it's working. You know, this is the 3rd year, our SPDM and teachers worked hard on establishing a 3-year plan. So this is our 3rd year of that plan. The first year was establish an environment for learning, which was a lot of behavioral and structural crackdown, I guess, and kind of get kids back into the learning space that we wanted to create. Second year, we had all new content, so I know I spoke on that. So we had, you know, iReady for English and math, and then we had History Alive and Social Studies, brand new Kentucky State curriculum. And then we had Open SciEd, which was a science curriculum. So it was getting teachers and getting students acclimated and understanding that content. So this year, the theme is like rigor. You know, let's push these kids, let's maximize this curriculum that we had last year, and take it to a different level. So when you start to see these things fall in place on their own, which without really any prompting, like I said, with the 7th and 8th grade, it's easy to see that we're on the right track in the middle school and, well, all 3 schools, really. I see all kinds of great things in all 3 schools. But, I guess the other thing too, the theme for this year, as far as like our focus points with our staff, is one is pushing writing. We're actually doing a No Tech Tuesday, where, no students will be using Chromebooks unless it's an accommodation that they need with the special needs. But we're gonna use pencil, we're gonna start working, and we're gonna start writing a lot more. So writing is gonna support our No Tech Tuesdays that week. We started recess this week, all grade levels will have it twice a week, 30-minute block, so they'll have an hour in a week. And then our other one is formative assessment. So formative assessment, if you're not familiar with that, you got summative assessment, you got formative assessment. Formative assessment is what those teachers do on a daily basis to see how much the students have picked up in the class. You know, it could be something simple, it could be something like, hey, write me a little summary of this, or it could be like an exit slip or whatever. So being very deliberate on how our teachers use that this year, and giving those teachers some slack, I guess, to say, where the plan is like, let's look at your standards that you have to teach in your class, okay? There's gonna be power standards, there's so many things that you cannot skip, all right? We know it's always crammed, we have so many teachers that are rushing to get everything covered. It's not realistic, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna have to take extra days to make sure you're teaching. So giving those teachers permission to say, okay, here's the things I know I have to cover. Now, what am I gonna do with the formative assessment every day? Do I need to reteach? Do I need to focus on that? Is enough of a percentage of the class got what I'm teaching so I can move forward? But being very intentional on how we utilize that. I think it's gonna cover our bases there and make sure that we're teaching every kid and not just skipping through to make sure that, you know, we're getting through the content. You know, if they can learn 75 to 80% of the content, it's gonna be much better than just rushing through it just to say you got done with it. So that's kind of where we are. I gave you all, if you get this sheet, it's like, important dates in the middle school. It's got like the dances and everything. It's first semester. We've got a lot going on. As Ms. Poole said, like one of the big things, our SVN decided we're gonna spend a high portion of our money this year in the middle school on, positive behavior reinforcement. So rewarding kids and, making sure they're acknowledged. That's a big part of it. So we've got a lot of pieces of the puzzle that is, I feel like it's starting to all click together. And it's about our staff, and I mean, I praise them, and the systems we've tried to put in place that make sense, and everything's kind of flowing, and it's all very deliberate. Any questions?
You actually mentioned, recess for 2 block, like.
Well,
block
so
for 2 days a week.
So high school, and she'll talk about this too, so we have flex, and that's where we do interventions, and we do extra work in math, and sight reading math, and then, reading is the main focus there. They also can get some homework support or something else in that class, but so that's an hour block, just like every other class period, that they have every day. So it's just a rotating schedule where 2 times a week they get 30-minute recesses.
Now, that, previous semester, previous school year, they only had 15 minutes, is that correct?
It's like 20 minutes at a time, but because we extended that period to a full hour, or 50 minutes, it was 40 minutes last year.
Yeah.
And then the high school needed that extra time to offer more electives.
Right.
So now we have, basically, like, you kind of look at it like it's like 2 25-minute blocks in that. So 2 of those days, they'll get 30 minutes of recess per grade level.
It's not bad.
They decreased.
Are we teaching cursive?
Well,
That's down here.
that's it's gonna be elementary, and that goes into law next school year. But I mean, I know that it's coming, you know that that's.
Yeah, our 2nd grade teachers, even though it has not been on the standards, they still actually do it. But we'll actually be focused a little bit more on it.
And Mr. McKay, Ms. Guthrie's in the middle school, and she actually, the kids in her class, she's had them working on hers, even though they don't, they're active in doing that with them.
No, we just wanna focus on writing. I feel like, you know, our last couple of 8th grade, we got actually a little snippet of some test scores that we recently solved, and I'm probably not supposed to talk about too much, but like, writing has been a strength in our middle school. We've done well over the last couple of years. It's been one of the highest scores that we've had. And, we feel like that's a strength of ours, so we need to really emphasize that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Owens.
Yeah.
gonna say, I was thinking as you were talking about, how you are gonna be using those two recess opportunities, that maybe you all have an opportunity to talk, elaborate about how to, use some of that to reinforce some of those techniques that the, professional development leader talked about.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So if you do, let us know.
I would.
A lot of people putting those posters up in the classrooms, if you go to different classrooms, you'll see on the wall, the 12 most powerful words, and it's
Yeah, our two language arts teachers have actually already posted those, and we're gonna be working on that, so. Yeah, a lot of good things. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to head out here around 8, though. I just wanna let you know.
Good evening. I think Mr. Pointer and Ms. Coyle said it all. But I would like to begin by thanking you for giving us the opportunity to lead here. We have had a wonderful start to the year, as they said, and also at the high school level, we only had one turnover. We had, one of our beloved teachers, she left to be with her twins that she just delivered actually in June. So she has 3 babies under 2 years old. But, we have hired, a new English teacher, and she is very experienced. She has been the leader of PLC, she came from East Jessamine, and she's doing a great job so far. So I'm very, very proud that we have been able to keep our high school faculty intact. They started off the year, very energetic, engaged, and ready to, serve our students. And I've seen some really good things across all 3 schools since schools began. We began, of course, with our scheduled pickup, and that went very well. We had that structured with separate grades so that we could have them pick up their schedules. We had specific class meetings with them and gave them information on that day. Also, our freshman orientation, we had more than half of our students to show up along with their parents, and we were also able to deliver some information. Dr. Fontes was very instrumental in making our freshman orientation very successful. As far as our professional learning, this year, we went in a little bit of a different route. We began our high school specific professional learning with Shaniqua Robinson. She is with Berea College, and she is now in the department that focuses on teaching Black history in Kentucky. I think the diversity piece is very, very important. We assume that we know, but I think it's always good for us to come together and talk through that piece so that we can really embed that diversity into our curriculum. And as a foreign language teacher, I see that we have enrolled recently Hispanic students and students of ethnicity, and I think we need to be able to understand where our students are coming from so that we can better serve them academically. So she came and presented to our teachers for professional learning piece. Also, we had Ms. Rhonda Bryant with Southeast South Central Co-op, and she talked about rigor in the classroom. One thing we're focusing on is bell-to-bell instruction, 100% students engaged, and making sure that we are really gathering all of our students, they're paying attention, they're focusing on standards-based instruction, and we're reaching them. So that's where that cultural piece also comes in. Sometimes a student may be disconnected, but it may just be that they don't understand what the teacher is teaching, or they don't understand what that means. So some of those very small things can really make that connection for a student. So Rhonda Bryant was with us. She talked about teaching rigor in the classroom, and also she talked about making data-based decisions. Looking at data, someone once said to me in a training that when you come together as a group, if you don't bring data to the table, then you're probably wasting your time. So we're really focusing on that data piece with our IXL. We have met already as a math and English team, and we have developed bylaws for how we're gonna implement IXL and what that's gonna look like. Our first diagnostic is tomorrow, and we've really just kind of given our students a pep talk on doing your very level best on that. So we'll be doing English language arts tomorrow and also math for the first of the 3 diagnostics. We also had the peer assessment training. If you're familiar with Edulastic, it is now called peer assessment. Our teachers are building summative assessments onto this platform, and then when they give that test, it will actually analyze each question. And, why did the students miss that question? Is it something that needs rewritten? Do we need to reteach this fully intend to implement the peer assessment platform throughout our PLCs and, utilize that data, again, to make, better informed decisions for our students academically. So as Dr. Hatchett said, Mr. Pointer and I completed NISL. We also have a Leader in Me, so we have several initiatives, and I was just thinking over the summer, like, how can we pull all of that together for the good of our students and our faculty? So this year, we have begun action teams, and those fall under, the Leader in Me standards, which are leadership, culture, and academics. And there are subcategories on that, so our faculty have all, and I gave them the opportunity to say, hey, what team would you like to be on? What is of most interest to you? So we plan to meet once per month, and then we're gonna come up with action items to move our students forward. So if, some said, hey, I love data, I love crunching data, let's do the academic part. Some really love that hospitality part, where we're building our culture and climate with the, leadership, with the culture. And then, of course, leadership would be getting our students more involved so that they have a voice. Our students need a voice regardless of age or regardless of what developmental, stage that they're in. Because if we listen to our students, it really can make a huge difference in how we teach and how we lead. They're really what drives this, this initiative here. One thing that I'm very excited about is we've had some Hispanic families to show up actually in elementary school, and I got an opportunity to do some translation last week and meet with some Hispanic students and some families and provide some services for them, and that was just very delightful for me because I do have a heart for Hispanic families, especially if there's a language barrier and they're unable to speak the language. So I really think that part is important. And also thinking in terms of if we publish any forms, making sure that we have those in the languages of our students spoken so that we can serve them. Our teachers this morning, I spent about an hour and a half in the classrooms. I just came in. Their learning targets are to be posted on Mondays, and they all had their learning intentions. They were teaching their hearts out. All the students were engaged, and we just had some really good visits with the teachers today. Also, we have some brand new elective courses that replaced our Flex, and then another positive about replacing that Flex is that our class numbers have come down. I mean, at one point we were at 34 students, so probably one of the high numbers would be about 28, and I asked Dr. Fontanez has worked really hard to get that under 30, because at one point, that was a selling point for our school, is that teacher-student ratio, so we've been able to get that down. But I'll mention these real quickly and then I'll sit down, but we have creative writing. These are new courses. We are now offering journalism with our new teacher, Miss Brown, and we're bringing back the Berea Pirate newsletter from the students for the students, and actually they have also agreed to publish that in the newspaper as they did years ago. When we were cleaning some closets out, we found Berea Pirate newsletters from the 80s, so that's been really exciting. We also have a new video production class where we'll be doing the News Weekly with Ms. Kavatikin. We are offering as well Appalachian Studies, and we hope to bring some writers and some people in to present to our students. Also Geography, AP Psychology, Music Theory, Mr. Barnhill, and then also Environmental Science. We're really trying to get more STEM electives in here because we do have a lot of arts electives, which is amazing, but we do need those STEM electives. And then we have a new career pathway, which is fire science. Lieutenant Billings is in our building now, and he's teaching fire science and fire safety. Of course, we have engineering, family and consumer science, media arts, and then another new career pathway is cinematography. So we're really excited about that, and that will allow for some collaboration with other classes as we're doing the Berea Pirate newsletter and as we're doing the video, the weekly news with our high school students. So we have a lot of really fun things that are coming up, and I hope that you will join us. Any questions? All right, thank you.
I would like to say the enthusiasm of our principals is great.
Next on the agenda is audience comments. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
Good evening. My name's Ashley Hammond. I'm an elementary parent. I just want to say the first 3 days of school, I had the flexibility to volunteer for lunchtime. That was fun. All seriousness, it was a lot of fun. They were very happy to be at school. Got to help kids sign on to Chromebooks for the first time in my son's class, which is second grade. So, you know, they do their best, but they needed support. And so funny you all mentioned cursive because my son came home talking about cursive. I said, what are you talking about? Well, they're going to teach me cursive. I was like, okay, right on. But now I have some context behind that. And it was great. I love seeing the kids back to school. I also really like the attendance signs, Mr. French, because working for Gear Up and then working as an interventionist and teacher, it's so important. If kids, you know, it's easy to miss a day, a month, and it adds up. And when you're in kindergarten to second grade, you're learning to read. And then when you're third grade up, you have to read to learn. And if you're not at school, that gap grows so wide and it really catches up with their self-esteem. So my spouse was in car rider line and said, so what's up with this 9 thing? So they are effective. Parents are reading them. So good job. I also wanted to say I did, as a public meeting, and working with other parents, we do have a desire to be connected with these meetings, very much so. Last month I did record, and I did not, you know, I just posted on my social media. I had 35 people view last month's meeting. I had several teacher friends that said I felt very connected and appreciate it. So I just wanted to say that it is being viewed. People are indeed tuning into it. It's not just I'm going to watch it for 10 minutes and then go off to TikTok or whatever. It is. I think it's beneficial, and I hope that you all will consider that in the future.
Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I would echo that streaming would be excellent. I've made a commitment to try to be present here, in the hopes that we can at least have groups of parents talk beforehand. But I wanted to start with my thanks. I have 2 elementary school kids. Every year gets a little easier, which I'm grateful for, because they know what they're getting into, and have, of course, wonderful teachers, and that has been wonderful for our families. Back to school night, where you get to choose the clubs, was so exciting. And I know I talked to Ms. Coyle about it last year. I think, especially for elementary school kids, when they get to be outside and have plenty of recess and also have these fun things, I'm convinced it makes them more successful in the classroom. So I'm really excited to see that, because I think it makes school fun and adds that enthusiasm that we want to build, so that we keep coming back every single day. So I really appreciate that, and I'm excited for the year ahead. And my kids' enthusiasm is higher than it has been in the past years. So part of that is because they know what they're getting into because they're getting older, but you know, part of it is also a different vibe. So I'm grateful. I wasn't able to come to the last board meeting. I did watch the video as best I could, but the audio was a challenge. So I had I had a request, which is kind of I wondered about an update about 2 things that I know have been in the works. The new app for communication, I know there was a challenge there, and teachers were disappointed they weren't able to build that connection. But if there is a critique, which at this point I don't have a critique of the year, but I think that has been a challenge for teachers to be able to connect to parents, because it hasn't happened yet. So I wondered about an update on that. And then also, you mentioned an updated meeting coming up about the strategic plan.
Yes.
I was there when we first had that conversation, and put my name in the hat, and I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything about how I can continue to also be a part of that.
It is, actually, it is a special call meeting, so
Okay.
in the library on Thursday
Okay.
at 4 o'clock, from 4 to 6. And as far as Actigy, did you want to talk about it?
Okay.
Okay.
So, under the guidance of the company that has built the app for us, They wanted us to wait about a week from the start of school because of all the enrollment changes in the classroom changes. Because if a parent got into the app, let's say on the first day of school, they would see like 20 classes for their child and it would be very confusing, and we want to keep the confusion out so that way that this is streamlined perfectly and more efficiently to the parents. And once a week of school has passed, around 90% of those schedule changes have been made, and the schedule that they see on that application is very accurate and reflects exactly what the student is going through. Because I mean, a lot of these teachers understand that sometimes a kid will join a class and then they'll be like, I don't want to be in here, and then they'll switch to a different one. And so that's kind of what we're following the Apogee, the company, their guidance on publishing that. So that should be out, I mean, really soon. Do you want me to tell the date? Is that okay? Or are we?
Tentatively, if all things fall into place, we're wanting to launch it tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, that we always touch base with them first. So if they tell us halt, then we'll halt. But by the end of the week.
So the way it'll work is the company Apogee, they will send out an invite, a mass invite to all legal guardian attached to students via the contact information that was supplied to Infinite Campus during their yearly registration. So it'll most likely be an email form, and then secondary if they provided a phone number and SMS form. So just that's gonna happen within a couple hours of the announcement going out from the district side. So I think tentatively we're looking at, within that 24-hour of Wednesday, of that being released, give or take.
I won't hold you to that.
And that's mainly because the company has some limitations on, well, if we schedule it for Wednesday, it may go out Thursday early morning. And we also have a lot of material that we need to start handing out to our communicators across campus, so that also goes out at the same time. And we wanted to limit that being pre-released, and then parents being like, I can't access this. I'm like, well, yeah, you don't have an invite yet. And then, and we want to send the invite like within that 24-hour period of announcing it. So, yeah, and it's something that'll stay live till we stop paying that company. So,
Right. No, I really appreciate it.
And we're really excited about it. So every single teacher has been working really hard at taking care of the prerequisites to get their stuff together. We were looking really good. So this new company, they do our new site, they're doing this app, they're doing alert systems, and then they ultimately we feel like if they have anything else that comes down the road, we'd probably be interested in looking at what else they offer. So
we talk to them every week. They kind of tell us.
Right. That's, yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next up is adoption of agenda. Motion.
Second.
Motion carries with no opposed. Next, we have the business consent items. We have the minutes from July 15th. We have the financial reports. We have approval of a sub-award agreement with Appalachian Educational Service Agency. We have approval of a memorandum of understanding for the fire science career pathway. Approve IDE admissions and release committee chairpersons. IDEA admissions and release committee chairpersons approve the following persons to serve as admissions and release committee chairpersons. Approve section 504 chairpersons.
Mr. Mayor, I move adoption of business consent items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries with no opposed. Next, we have the business action items, beginning with approval of the 24-25 general fund tax levy. Would you like to say something about that, Tom?
I think I'd just like to go ahead and mention the rates from last year. So we did start out at 96.2, is our 23-24 rates. This is roughly 11-12% difference. Moving downward, so this would be an 84.5 cents on real property and an 87.8 cents on personal property. This, adopted rate would not require a public tax hearing if we adopt this rate. And of course, if the board would like to propose something different, we do have to publish and hold a tax hearing. So, with this one, fits within our budget and allows us to kind of decrease the tax rate for our, local stakeholders. Our recommendation is just adopting that rate.
So did that rate go down because the property value went up in the county?
Yeah, so folks either have, newer vehicles in terms of the motor vehicle or, more expensive property for real estate and things like that.
So you're still within your compensating rate of what, 3%, the state says without the hearing, right? Is it
That's
3%
correct.
now?
Yeah.
Ms. Combs, what's the tax on personal property? It's not motor vehicles, right? Because that's further down.
It is 87.8.
No, I know, but what personal property is taxed?
So there is some listings on those tax documents when we get ready to put them through, and the definitions on those can be varied. Sometimes that can be a business who has physical inventory.
Okay.
Or, there's some other things that fall under that. To be honest, we don't typically tax some of those items here because, for example, boats.
Right.
We don't have boats. So there's things like that that we don't include in those.
If I could ask you
It's bigger
that,
items,
like,
yeah.
the IRS definition would include, like sells artwork and fine jewelry, silver, basically any personal property that's not a vehicle that, someone's nice enough to turn it on their taxes.
I move adoption.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries with none opposed. Next, we have the approval of the motor vehicle tax rate for fiscal year 24-25. Is that all I'm saying?
So that one did increase, by 1%. That's 59.1 was last year, 59.2 is the recommendation for this year.
10%.
10%.
Do I have a motion?
I have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No. I just don't like tagging laws. I think you worry about it first.
Yeah, and that is the recommended.
No, I know, I'm not trying to.
Oh, I just wanted to.
I just don't like that class.
One opposed.
Gotta keep the doors open. All I can say.
Next on the agenda is approval of revisions to policy 9-123, absences and excuses, second reading. I thought we already approved this.
We're doing second reading.
This is second reading.
Gotta have two.
Appreciate the description, clarification.
Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the second reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
One opposed. Yeah, I think that was the last one. Let's do the first three. Board member comments. Okay? Board member comments.
Great, lady, yeah, they were good. No, thank you for coming. A lot of ideas coming from you all. I think we are working somewhere. We don't, the problem was, we don't really have a set location. If you followed us, we've been in the basement, we've been in the board office, we've been in here. And it's kinda hard to move equipment around and get it all set up, but I think we're moving where we can find a place where we're gonna meet and we can set up, okay? So, we are working on it. That's it, thank you.
I'm very excited for the school year because my kids are very excited. One of my kids is starting preschool this year, and then my third grader he's excited about the clubs, the club, that scientist club, very creative names and very, very, like, eye-popping, he loves it. My middle schoolers, both seventh and eighth grade, and it's a challenge, it's a good challenge, though. And I'm very excited for the school.
Just like you said.
Well, this is my last board meeting. My partner's gone home outside of the district, and I intend to move in with her, so I'm legally ineligible for board service. So, I am announcing my intent to resign effective noon tomorrow. Appreciate having had a chance to serve you all. It was great to be able to raise pay and do some cool climate stuff and move things in the right direction on academics and budgets, and I had a good time. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
At
That's
some
exactly
point, the board has to vote to accept that.
Well, perhaps then the amendment to the agenda is in order.
Do we also need
I'd be happy to write you one.
Yeah, they could do it.
I've got some paper.
Yeah, she could write one, yeah. Just let her write one, chair gets it, and it has to be official before you can start with another board member.
Well, with the election process for two,
Where are you moving to?
Just outside the district.
Oh, it's still Madison County.
process for getting the word out that we need.
We have to send stuff in. We have to send different things into the Attorney General office. I mean, there's a,
No
that's
process.
a process.
Yeah, she said effective tomorrow, then you mean.
Yeah, right.
There's certain processes. If we can do that.
Mr. Gavin.
Thank you. Comments?
Well, that's a hard act to follow. That's a surprise. Surprise, surprise.
She suggested me off the motion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah?
Amendment of the agenda.
I have not moved, so perhaps you could first.
Oh, motion to amend
To amend the agenda to include the resignation of the mayor.
resignation for Mr. Ben's position.
Did you get that? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Did you?
Oh, oh, I just wanted to say, I'm excited like Nate's kids are. For school and, attending the PD day with Larry Bell. Great start. So it was nice to hear one of the participants say, after their 10 years of participating in various systems, professional development, that one knocked it out of the park. So I agree. I'm going to talk to some of my newly retired folks to refer them to see if they might need to do a little bit of volunteering to help some of the clubs in some way, even if they can't be on hand, maybe they can help supply some of the ingredients for chemistry. This is really. So thank you all for making it interesting course first meeting.
We're very excited about the school. You all are doing great. We're really excited. Strategic Planning Committee meeting coming up on Thursday is extremely important, I think, for setting direction for how we're gonna proceed in the next 4 to 5 years. And, I know I won't be here for that time, but I want to set the tone, and I hope the people that show up will be thinking seriously about what this community wants out of this school. What do they want us to produce? Do they want factory workers? Do they want college students? I don't know. So we got to think about that and how we provide